State Champs, Michigan's Hangtime is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Visit LTUathletics.com and recruit yourself. Hangtime is also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. The Michigan Army National Guard, a proud partner of the MHSAA. The Detroit Athletic Club Foundation's Athlete of the Year Awards. Applications being accepted now through March 6, 2023 for the male and female high school Athletes of the Year. Check out previous winners and download the application today at dacathleteoftheyear.com. And the Basketball Coaches Association of Michigan. Find out more at bcam.org.
What's up, Michigan? Welcome back to another episode of State Champs Hangtime, Michigan. My name is Lorne Plant, Scott Burnstein in the middle, TJ Kelley on the end, here to bring you the latest and everything that's happening in boys hoops here in the great state of Michigan. First off, how you doing, fellas?
Good. Wonderful day outside. Wonderful day for basketball inside.
That's right. We record on Wednesday, so when the show comes out on Friday, we have a chance to put some things together. But we do want to say, just on a somber note here to kind of get this show going, Detroit Northwestern senior Cartier Woods unfortunately passed away on Monday, just a week after suffering cardiac arrest on the basketball court. And really, the sad part is, had no known heart condition or anything of this nature. He was a football and basketball player for the Colts. There is a GoFundMe page if you want to help the family with the medical expenses. If you feel moved to do that, please do so. Just search Cartier Woods. But really just a terrible tragedy, and unfortunately when we see this happen.
Horrible, unexpected anytime we see, especially children that don't live out the promise that, or the future that we see as adults. And from everything that, we've known him as a multi-sport athlete, had a bright future.
All about sports since day one.
Yep. And the thing is, in the neighborhood, and when you're talking about, off the boulevard, the Dexter Linwood area, not necessarily the greatest, environment,
right.
But at the same time, you've got, a strong support there with the Colts, with the Northwestern family, George Tyson, the head coach. For the Colts basketball team, it's one of those things where it's just an overwhelming amount of emotion that comes through, and it's. At the end of the day, there are no words for it. Prayers go out to the family and all those who knew him, because his promise of making it out of the hood, making it out of the neighborhood, and going into college and stuff like that. He had aspirations for that, and to see that cut short is again, there are no words
puts
for
things
that.
in perspective. Also out on the west side of the state, Grand Rapids West Catholic senior Gabe Aughdahl has it's been discovered he has a rare tumor, that a disease that has no cure. So the West Catholic boys and girls basketball teams are both dedicating their February 17th games to raising awareness and support for desmoid tumor research. That's what it's called. The family will be selling shirts that say, and I love this mantra, faith over fear. So that's something we can all wear and be proud of putting on our chest. All the proceeds will go to the Desmoid Tumor Research Foundation, and hopefully, Gabe, and something will be discovered so that
I want to give a personal shout out to the Aughdahl family. Yeah. I can relate to this at a very personal level. Okay. 7 years ago, I had a tumor in my brain. Luckily, the doctors were able to go in and get it. It was something that was not considered curable in the sense that there was no cure to it. They just had to go take it. Right. And it, put my life in jeopardy. And coming out the other side of it, I've never felt better. And I can know what these people are going through to an extent, and just tell you that there are always brighter skies on the horizon.
Right. And it's a great thing when the schools and the communities can wrap around events like this. We see it so often here in the state of Michigan. We want to give it props when it's happening. So if you can support that, do so. One thing before we get into our game recap talk about a soap opera. Orchard Lake St. Mary's. What's happening? What's the latest?
So the latest now is that we've been talking about this through Hangtime episodes over the course of the 22-23 season. Orchard Lake St. Mary's got 2 transfers in over the summer. Jaden Savory came over from Detroit Renaissance, and Isaiah Zip Hines came over from Dakota. They're both sophomores, class of 2025. Initially, they were ruled ineligible by the Catholic League, but were ruled eligible by the state. They went into the court system, got the Catholic League to stop blocking their eligibility, and then the state took over and at that point said that they were ineligible at the state level. It looked like it was going to get resolved in the last 7 days. In fact, I was told that Savory and Hines were going to play this week against Brother Rice. But at the last second, the state came in and denied the second or third appeal. So now it is, and we've been talking about it going back into the court system. Well, now it is officially back in the court system. They will be down at federal court, downtown Detroit, February 17th to go in front of a federal judge to try to get an injunction and get those kids on the floor before the end of the season. So we shall see.
Yeah, it's completely wild.
It really is.
You know, I don't know. I look at my federal tax dollars. No, just kidding. But yeah, I'll tell you this: if players want to go play somewhere, I think that they should be allotted that opportunity. Everything is not black and white as far as, you know. Let's say this: life happens where, hey, there might be an issue here at this school or an issue here at that school, and I'm not saying it's Renaissance. I'm not saying it's Dakota. I'm not saying it's any school, but I'm just saying in a general. Umbrella that, things wind up happening. And I think that at the end of the day, kids should be able to play, for the school that they're choosing.
All right, let's move on. We had some exciting games this past weekend, had some upsets this last weekend, and we've also got some games that we've covered this week. These are clips that you can watch on the State Champs Michigan socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Number 3, North Farmington beat number 1 Muskegon on Saturday at Aquinas, 52-40. Well, I'll let you talk about them individually. Let me get through all the scores first. Number 13, Grand Rapids Christian beat number 6 Michigan Collegiate, 55-53 in double OT, also at the 2K23 showcase. Tuesday night, we got some other action that State Champs likes to go out and kind of spread the coverage. Milford went to South Lyon East and won 51-37. Divine Child came back to win a thriller over Riverview Gabriel Richard, who could have wrapped up their portion of the Catholic League, but DC said no way, 66-65. They were all kind of fired up after that one. Go check out the clips. You'll see what I mean. And number 12, Grand Rapids Northview falls on the road to East Grand Rapids, 54-46. They have recent losses to Lowell, Warren Lincoln, now EGR, TJ Wildcats riding the struggle bus as of late.
Yeah, the last 10 days or whatever, it's been pretty crazy for them. Obviously, a big game versus Warren Lincoln in the 2K23 showcase, but they wound up falling short the night before, the Friday before. Yeah. And then you have East Grand Rapids. But then I look at East Grand Rapids. They do have some talent there. Coach Owen's doing a fantastic job. They did beat Grand Rapids Christian earlier. Could they be one of those dark horses when the playoffs wind up rolling around that we could wind up seeing them in a regional after they get through the districts? They've got the. It looks like if the East Grand Rapids can bring it all together and they can string together some wins, perhaps. I'm not going to say that we're going to be calling, some of their players and their players' names at the Breslin Center, but I would be very weary if I saw them, on my schedule in late March. Yeah,
they're showing it. They're showing it. And again, we talked about, again, the 2K23 showcase was great, 2 weekends. But North Farmington winning on Saturday.
Yeah, going out west and taking out the number 1 team in the state. Yeah. The no-go train just keeps rolling like a snowball downhill, gaining momentum. Ryan Hurst celebrates that victory by committing right after the game. I believe Mike Davis, the coach at UD Mercy, offered him on Saturday. He committed on Sunday. So he's averaging about 21 points a game. His average is down from the last couple years. And as a result, they're winning more. Right. He's a guy that, can easily score 25, 30 a game, and he's taking his average down a little bit to, make sure that he spreads the love. And then Milford South Lyon East. I really am impressed with the LVC this year in boys basketball. It's usually really top heavy. Right. You have 1 or 2 good teams and the rest are not anything to really be excited about. But this year, kind of top to bottom, it's incredibly competitive. It's incredibly balanced. Milford has, if not the best player in that league, the second best player in the league in Sam Lewis. Just a do everything swingman. And they beat South Lyon East last night.
Yeah.
But South Lyon East and Coach Ron Levin, doing a really good job. They got a Moyer and Newville in the backcourt. They won, I think, 13 games already. So Milford and South Lyon, two of the best teams in that league. And then just going back to North Farmington, they're 14-1. Their only loss is to a team we're going to talk about in a second, Warren Lincoln. They lost at the buzzer on a 40-footer. They could easily be undefeated right now.
Yeah, you want to let's talk about the Grand Rapids Christian beating Warren Michigan Collegiate.
Yeah.
Now that game went into double overtime. You have two of the best bigs in the 2024 class in Jalen Owinga as well as Dylan Grant. And I tell you what, game went into double overtime. There is a shot that's going up by Grand Rapids Christian, and they called goaltending. And with half a second left on the clock, 2 seconds left on the clock, I don't know if the referees were thinking, you know what, this is enough. I get paid by the game, not the hour. It's time to go home. I don't need another 4 minutes or whatever happened there. But of course you have replays in high school. They're not going to go look at the replays. They're not going to spend any of that extra time. And a call made is often the call that's going to be played out. And that was one of the ones that decided the game. I couldn't drop Warren Michigan Collegiate too far in the standings, even though they did lose to Grand Rapids Christian.
Yeah.
Just because you're playing on a neutral court. Grand Rapids Christian, in my opinion, is maybe, let's say this, they're looking to turn the corner, and they can beat a lot of teams.
Right?
Grand Rapids Christian didn't beat in Division One.
They're in Division One. Okay.
And but Warren Michigan Collegiate, I think, is still the front runner to win Division Two. And James Scott has those guys rolling. Obviously, Dylan Grant's doing a great job. Noah Range is another guy that's moved over from Pontiac that gives them that much more size in the middle, which you obviously need in the playoffs. But they're an extremely balanced team, and they also have size, and they also have a lot of chemistry. When you, let's say this, good chemistry when you see them out on the court. And so, you'll run into speed bumps, losses, and stuff like that throughout the year. But hey, it's about how you bounce back, and I think that Scott's going to wind up doing.
Not a few weeks from now.
Well, I expect Warren Michigan Collegiate to wind up winning the charter school championship. When their playoffs wind up starting, I think in the next week and a half. So.
Yep. All right. Well, speaking of Division II, Warren Lincoln, as you just alluded to, was fresh off defeating Grand Rapids Northview on Saturday. I had a chance to catch up with the coach, Wydell Henry. Some of you might remember that name. He's been at Warren Lincoln just for a little bit now, but again, long career at Pershing.
Go boys.
And he was a Northwestern Colt back in his day. So I had a chance to talk to him, and here's a little sample of that conversation.
And your team has done well. You've won the Silver Division last couple of years, and ironically, and you kind of alluded to it, it was those same Doughboys that knocked you out of the playoffs a season ago. But the sting of that loss, because I know you guys had high expectations, has that really helped focus the team even more this season?
No question. We it was leading up to that game all year. We knew it was a chance we was going to play Pershing. So, and I had at the time I was still working at Pershing. So it was a lot of intensity and stress in that game. But we was winning the game to the last minute, and we let one slip away. My guys was young, freshmen and sophomores, and we just said we was going to build on it. We was going to go for there. So one thing that I did do, we moved up the division. We're not in the silver no more. We're in the gold.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things that helped us last year, we had a lot of blowouts in the silver. We didn't have no game within 20 points, so we wasn't battle tested when it was time to go in the districts. We hadn't had no close games, hadn't dealt with anything. So when it came down to the wire in the game, Pershing had some more tougher games, and they was able, senior led with 7 to 8 seniors, and they was able to pull it out. But I made sure that I made our schedule tough this year for the state tournament, because it's going to be tough to get through there.
All right, thanks so much to Coach Henry for joining us on Hangtime this week. Guys, he's doing a phenomenal job over there. He's really got a lot of depth. The Twins lead the way, and he's got some good defense, some bigs that are coming in for him. And this is a team, we're going to get into rankings here in a minute, but this is a team that you've got in the top 10, and so far the highest ranked Division II as of today in your rankings. And again, a team that can be very, very dangerous if they're on your schedule.
Well, I love Moses Blackwell.
Yeah. The twins, one of the twins.
Marcus and Moses Blackwell. Yeah. Moses being on, let's say this, you can tell the difference between the two just because of the height difference. But Moses is one of those guys where you're talking about, we've seen Kareem Rozier be that guy. We've seen Maurice Jones be that guy. We've seen, let's say this, somewhat vertically challenged point guards when we're talking about on the basketball sense of everything. But talk about a kid who can shoot it. Talk about a kid who's a leader out on the court. He's very vocal. You can't sleep on him on defense. But yeah, he stepped up big time, hit a lot of big shots. Marcus Blackwell also did a fantastic job. And then the big Miles Mitchell has been phenomenal. You also have Barden, who's had plenty of family that's come through the Pershing, the 7 Mile and Ryan, and wound up going couple miles east and north. But so Wydell's got a fantastic crew that's set up in that district right there. I believe it's Warren Michigan Collegiate. You've got Warren Fitzgerald, and you've got Warren Lincoln, all in the same district. And I don't know if there's going to be a better district in Division II than that. And that right there is must-see basketball.
Yeah, and it was very interesting because last year they fell to Pershing in the district final, and he was still at Pershing at the time. Still involved with the school. Yeah, exactly. So. But that's what happens in the playoffs. If you don't bring in every game, you can get caught up. But now that they've moved from the silver to the gold and playing the schedule they are with all the showcases and things of that nature, they feel they'll be ready.
Arguably the toughest schedule, in the state. The only team to beat North Farmington. They lost to Muskegon,
but and lost to Brother Rice, but no shame in that.
Right.
Lincoln's having a moment right now, going for their first district championship since 2005. They thought they were going to get it last year. Obviously, fell to Henry's old team, but you mentioned the Blackwells and Mitchell. He touched on Kamari Barden, who's really, really nice.
Especially defensively.
And Tamarian Minor as well.
TJ Minor
on the wing. I'm just going to throw this out there and start this Lose Yourself in the Moment campaign because when Eminem was in high school, I don't think he graduated. But he went to Warren Lincoln, and he used to have those famous lunchroom rap battles at Warren Lincoln. Let's try to get Eminem there for the districts and have him do a little performance of Lose Yourself in the Moment for his alma mater.
And have like a little all-state picture and stuff like that. And I mean, the Abes are more known for being a wrestling school. If you go visit their school, and and that's what I love about going to high schools as well, is you get to see their Hall of Fame, their all-state, just their honoring, and guys get to live forever with their picture being there. There aren't many basketball players.
All right, well, let's move into the rankings, and we did have some shakeups going on. New number 1. So I know that Steve Hall and Cass Tech are celebrating this week as they take over the top of the rankings. And quite frankly, they earned it. Muskegon, after losing, they've dropped down to number 5. U of D is up to 6. They went up a couple spots in the top 10. And Romulus Summit North Academy, another Division II school that could make some serious waves in the playoffs, they are now into your top 10.
Yeah, and when we look at, I think Division I is going to be very similar to Division II. And I just said that Warren Michigan Collegiate is my favorite. But then you look at Romulus Summit, you look at some of the Chelsea's having a strong year. You look at again, they've got to get out of that district first. But Division I, talk about Cass Tech. You're talking about Muskegon, obviously, North Farmington, Brother Rice. I would like to see, let's say this, the PSL Detroit Public School District playoff start next week. And so, they started, the play-in game was Monday, and so the next game will be on Friday. And I do expect, Cass to come out of one bracket, Renaissance to come in the other. They'll play in the semifinal more than likely. And then the other side, you'll have King and Detroit Western more than likely. Obviously, you have to play the games. But Cass Tech has really got to step up. Let's say this, they'll have to go undefeated just because they don't have the strength of schedule that all those other teams have played. All those other teams have played top 10 teams, top 15 teams, in the state. Let's see what Apparition Friendship, how that winds up boiling out, because let's say it's Brother Rice and Cass Tech. Brother Rice has, let's say this, a little bit more seasoned let's say, there's a little bit more grit in their schedule than
doubt.
Cass Tech, and nobody wants to be undefeated and then bounced early, and their district isn't going to be a cakewalk either, because more than likely they're going to have to face King, they'll have to face Western, and then who knows how well. Obviously, you go to the MHSA website to see how everything else plays out when they get to regionals.
Yeah, well, again, Warren Michigan was a 19-win team last year, but again, didn't play the quality of competition that they needed to be ready.
Iron sharpens iron. I've heard Wydell Henry say that quite a few times.
Exactly. Well, they've got Benton Harbor this weekend, so
it's
top
Benton
20
Harbor.
teams.
And
So
sometimes you can't choose your league schedule. I mean, sometimes you're in the league that you're in.
Right. We say that in football all the time. So outside of your schedule, you need to make it as competitive as possible.
And that's one of the benefits of having the 22 games. And I think that one of the other things that I've liked, and I was just thinking about it, with the 22 game schedule, you have Muskegon, who's come over to Detroit. You've got North Farmington that's gone to Grand Rapids. They'll be in Benton Harbor as well next weekend. You look at Brother Rice, who's made the trips over here. Well, at the end of the day, what I'm saying is Mr. Basketball candidates are being able to be showcased that much more, and that's what their coaches, if you kind of studying what they're doing, they're going to say, you know what, I'm going to make sure that people in Grand Rapids
2 games might
go
not
see my guy.
sound like a big deal, but it can make a big difference, those 2 games.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt. And I'm just looking at individual accolades, and not only that, it kind of gives the opportunity for, let's say this, you're in Grand Rapids, you give the opportunity for Aquinas, for Cornerstone, for some of the smaller schools in the Grand Valley State. Cornell Mann was at the 2K23 Invitational, as well as with 2 assistants, DJ Mosini as well as J.R. Wallace. But they get to go be seen by a full staff, and so I think that also helps with a lot of the players' recruitment. Which if you don't have to pay for college education, I don't believe that. Let's say this, you can have high school sports without actually thinking about what's the benefits of the individuals getting scholarships. You get to save yourself, $150,000 a year. Let's say this, you graduate, you're debt free. You're winning at 22, 23 years old, and it doesn't matter if you went 0 for 20 your freshman year in high school, sophomore year in high school, junior year, senior year in high school. It's about what you're going to be able to do later on in life, and I think that those 2 games are highly beneficial.
Preach! Yes. Preach, Mr. Kelley. All right, before we get out of here, a couple classics coming up this weekend. Just want to put on your radar in case you want to check out some high school basketball this weekend, and why not? The weather's been great. We talked about it or just alluded to it a little. Benton Harbor has got, whether it's the Chandler Wilson Showcase or the Chet Walker Classic, whatever it is, they're both great players. I'm sure that's an argument in Benton Harbor that you can get into the stands if you want to talk about who was better. But they have got a number of great games coming up this Saturday. And at 12 o'clock, Matawan and Harper Woods will kick it off. At 2 o'clock, Chicago DePaul College Prep will take on North Farmington. So that should be an interesting matchup. 4 o'clock, East Kentwood and Detroit Old Redford will get together. At 6, Kazoo Central and Hamtramck will go at it. And at 8 o'clock, the featured event, Benton Harbor, number 20 in the state, versus Warren Lincoln, which I think we have them at number 6. In the state. 7, yeah, I knew they were right there. So Cardinal Classic at Davison is taking place this weekend. 1 p.m., Flint New Standard versus Pontiac. 3 o'clock has Chicago Thornton, another Chicago team coming up, taking on Wayne Memorial. 5 o'clock, Port Huron Northern and Ferndale. And at number 7, Davison and Flint Hamady. Anything else, gentlemen?
Flint New Standard, state championship coach. Maybe you remember him from a few years ago, Greg Ice McMath.
Oh, he's coaching that team.
He's been the first. So at that new
To
game.
be honest, I've never heard of Flint New Standard.
No,
so
it's a new charter. It's a new charter school.
Oh, it's brand new. Okay.
Yep. And,
I felt bad. I didn't want to say anything.
Maurice Jones's coach.
Cookie
Dar
Jones.
Tucker's coach.
Yes.
By the way,
Wow.
Dar Tucker breaks the internet if social media is around.
With his dunk,
with his background? Oh man, Dar Tucker, arguably one of the best players that I've ever seen play high school basketball.
Right?
Went to DePaul,
Yeah.
and I'm not even sure that I think that he still might be playing in France, where he is. Where it's like.
You're saying if social media was
it's
around,
like, if he was around,
Him and
Internet
Doug Anderson.
Doug Anderson breaks it. I mean, Leon Freeman and all those guys. You talk about some wild dunk shows.
Yeah.
Doug's dunkometer at Kalamazoo Central. I love seeing Ramsey Nichols, the head coach at Kalamazoo Central, and bringing that up. Or more Mike Thomas because he coached him. But Ramsey had to coach against him when he was still at Benton Harbor as a coach. So,
right.
But yeah.
Dart Tucker went to
DePaul, and then he was in France
in
right
high
now.
school.
Arthur Hill.
Arthur
Played
Hill.
for Coach
Saginaw,
McMahon.
Arthur Hill.
Yeah, Saginaw, Arthur Hill.
So if you want, you can always dig into the State Champs archives because we covered both Doug Anderson and Dart Tucker while they were in high school, and some of their high-flying performances are forever to see on the State Champs Network. Find it on YouTube. Just search their names, and you can see that. So, or at least search the schools, and you can see it. So, once again, TJ Kelley, Scott Burnstein, I'm Lorne Plant. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Hangtime. You can find, again, the full episodes on our website, on YouTube. We also do a podcast version that you can find on Spreaker. So we'll have the full interview with Wydell Henry on Spreaker. We'll have it also on YouTube, so you can watch that whole conversation there and not just a snippet. All right, so anything else, you have comments or questions, big games coming up you want us to cover, please just find us on social media, DM us, whatever, connect with us. We'll see what we can do to make it happen. Once again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
State Champs, Michigan's Hangtime is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Visit LTUathletics.com and recruit yourself. Hangtime is also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. The Michigan Army National Guard, a proud partner of the MHSAA. The Detroit Athletic Club Foundation's Athlete of the Year Awards. Applications being accepted now through March 6, 2023 for the male and female high school Athletes of the Year. Check out previous winners and download the application today at dacathleteoftheyear.com. And the Basketball Coaches Association of Michigan. Find out more at BCAM.org.